Good morning. Well, morning for me. Welcome to Polar Transformations. I am Christine, and many of you know I am a high school math teacher, and I am on spring break this week, and I have a really special project I am so excited about. It is for somebody at my church, and I am redoing their entire dining room set. So let me show you what it looks like. I got the whole set clean, and I had to, this is exactly why they want this filled in, is because all of these cracks, I had to go and scrub them with a toothbrush just to get stuff out of there. So that's why we're going to end up filling it in. But the top part is getting stained gray, so I'm hoping, this says it's stainable. Let's hope that that works. But I'm going to get it sanded, all sanded off first. You can see, maybe you can see, I don't know, the light's really shining on it, but the finish is kind of already failing. It's just worn out. Great set, clean, just some minor things here and there, no major things I have to fix. So I'm going to sand it with some 120. Gonna be careful on the other side. I'm gonna try and fix that little piece that's coming up. All right, let's see what this looks like once I sand it. Alright, I wanted to show you where I am. I have done, woohoo, look, half of the table. So you can see, this is the finish that was on it. This is what we have. And I want to show you a couple of things. So the top we are staining gray. And then the chair tops though, the woman who owns the table really liked a mismatched set that she saw, and she wants the tops of those to keep more of a brown tone to it, but she wants the gray tone on here. So to kind of tie that together, let's see, I've left a little bit along edges here of the brown, the little highlights. I'm leaving all of these little marks and niches and stuff to keep that farmhouse look to it. I'm gonna fill these gaps in and then sand them down. So if you see on the side, I have sanded this part, and that's gonna be, but this part I haven't yet, and I am just going to do a scuff sand on this and the bottom because those are going to be white with a gray wash. Okay, I am done sanding the top of the table at least, and I'm going to wipe off all of this dust before I get into filling these cracks. So let's see how clear this comes out. If you see that this is obviously a veneer, and there had to have been some water, there's my New York accent, had to be some water damage done to this. So I'm not going through trying to pull this up and fix it, but since I'm filling these in anyway, I am going to put in some glue and put a weight on it to try and flatten it out as much as possible, and then we're filling this in anyway. So we'll see how it turns out. I've never used this exact brand before, but wood filler's wood filler. Well, that's not really true, but I'm going to Ooh, that seems really dry. There we go. Okay, so there we go. I just shot a bunch out on the table. Not the ideal way of doing this, but I guess it'll be okay. So I'm going to come through. It says overfill it a little bit, of course, because it will shrink down a little bit, and then we'll come back and we'll sand it. And that's really the way I wanted to do it the first time. Okay, I have an interesting and weird thing. So, filled in all of the gaps, and it dried, and look, it looks all nice, all matching, fine and everything. And I'm in the process of sanding it down, as you can see. And as I'm sanding it, look at what I have on this side. It's like it's stained the wood. So I don't understand. This is good. I sand it off, and I have this. Oh my gosh. So I was sanding away, and this just falls off. Like, I guess it's glued on. So my husband gave me his, which this thing is like a monster. Mine is like Walmart special, and the Makita one, super strong. Okay. Don't want to ruin somebody's table. So all those orange stripes are here. So I got really aggressive with sanding it. Okay, so I think I got most of them. I'm looking. I still see orange here. I'll do another pass. But for the most part, they're gone. That was really, really scary. I don't know why I did it. When it was dried, it looked, look, it like, you can't even see where the lines are. They're almost the same color. Now, it was orange when it was wet, so I don't know why it would stain the wood. But anyway, I think it's okay. I think it'll be okay. We'll see how it turns out. Okay, now that we have averted disaster, I have decided, I was going to give up for the night, but I decided that since we got it going without any marks, that I want to put the stain on. So, I am putting in Weathered Gray from Verathane, and while I absolutely despise these things, I think it will be easier for me to be able to kind of spread it around and stir. Okay, this is all stuck on the bottom, so make sure that you stir your stains very good. Look at all that thick stuff that's on the bottom. Alright, I think I finally got it all mixed up. Now, I'm really curious with everything that happened, if any of that's going to show up, how this, it says it's stainable, so we'll see if it's actually stainable. But I'm just going to soak this and start spreading it on. So this is kind of why I wanted to try using the foam brush, because I can just kind of squish this stuff out. Start on this side. I'm going to wipe with the green. Ooh. Okay. So gray. Let's get a better look at that. Gray versus that. Okay, so let me show you a couple of things here. First, when you go to refinish one of these factory-made things, you never know what you're going to find when you take the finish off. So, if we can see this, I don't know if that's like some kind of plastic type of compound that they filled in a hole with. Got another piece of that over here, but what it does is not accept any kind of stain, so I'm gonna have to deal with that. Here's the other thing. This is where the water damage was, and I am not, once I got the stain on it, just gluing it down was not good enough. So I could just go through and sand it flush and then deal with it from there. I think, since if I do that, I'm gonna end up getting the veneer off of it anyway. So I think I'm going to try to save it by cutting out a little triangle, sanding down underneath it that got ruined, and then maybe gluing the triangle back on. So we'll see. The other part. This is very gray. And while she wanted the gray, I think it's very flat gray. So I asked her, do we want to brown it down a little bit? And she said, you make the call. I'm not thrilled with that. But she's okay with it. She's like me. She's not overly attached to her stuff. So no, I totally do not want to ruin her furniture, but we're going to play with it and see what we can get it to look like. It's this season. Okay, wish me luck. I'm going to try this. I'm kind of scared. Now, I probably should have thought about this before I went and stained it and all that stuff. Alright, okay, oh, well, see, now look at that. It was veneer on top of this pressed board. So if I can get that out. Now this is the stuff that I put in, so that's no big deal. Okay, and I'll just get the part that was water damaged out. I'll scrape this off a bit here. Okay, I think that that's probably working better than I thought that it was going to. Okay, so let's see, I'm going to use some of that. I'm going to use some Gorilla Glue Super Glue Gel. If I can get it out of here. Oh, there we go. And let's sit this in here. this thing I just think comes off a little bit too gray. So I'm going to try doing some brown over it. I don't know. I could end up sanding it all back. But I'm going to use some dark walnut. Oh no, maybe it's too dark. But instead of brushing it on, I'm just going to put it on here and then wipe it on, and we'll see how it's coming out before I go too far. I forgot one or two places on this bench. Okay, look at this. I think this is amazing. This part is obviously a darker wood. And I want to show you something. So look at the tannins that are coming out. I don't even know if those are tannins from the wood or from that factory finish, but every time I sand it off, it comes back. So I'm going to work with that. Let me show you these chairs. And every time I think that it's all gone, it comes through. And I think that that's going to be wonderful with the brown stain. So I haven't finished sanding these back. I'm going to wipe these down with my rag, and then I'm going to get the stain on them. Okay, it is time to stain these, and I'm going to have a one-shot deal because this is my last pair of gloves. So let's see how this seat takes this stain. I haven't even sanded down the rest of it yet because if I get stain on it, it's just going to sand off because it still has the finish coating on it. And I'm just going to scuff sand the rest of it because it's getting painted. Here's my goal. I'm going to scuff sand this, then I'm going to prime it with the red primer that I use and paint it white and then a gray wash. Oh, and I'm going to cover the top so I don't ruin that. Okay, I might be doing a little overkill with this primer, but because I didn't sand it down, it's not like it's sanded all the way down to the wood, there's probably not going to be much bleed through. But I am doing this in white with a light gray wash over it, so I don't want any bleed through. So I'm using my Rustoleum Professional Primer in red. I have taken the bottom out from underneath here and propped it up on soft horses. There's the New York accent. And now I watered down a little bit of Rustoleum Linen White Chalk Paint. We're going to put a coat over this. I am going to go around the whole table and put this coat on. I covered the seat with paper, although my tape's not sticking really well, but it just needs to protect the seat. Now get all of these done with the primer so I can get them all painted and finished. The goal is to get a nice gray wash over this. So I mixed my gray chalk paint 50-50 with water. It's definitely runny. So it's not too dark, but it's that two-tone. Might even go over it with a second coat. Yay, time to do the gray wash. I like the way this is coming out. Let me get the rest of this done. But I am not happy with this. This is the first time I have ever used the chalk paint. I use Rustoleum Chalk Paint often. I use Dixie Belle, I use the Rustoleum, and I've been very happy with it. But I've never used it in a spray can before, and I am not thrilled with it. Like, it has almost no coverage. It's almost like it's just kind of spraying out water. I shook it a whole bunch of times, thinking, well, maybe I didn't really stir it up enough. But no matter how much I shake it, it's still coming out kind of the same way. I am not completely happy with how this turned out. It's kind of splotchy looking. I did a gray coat over it and I thought it was just too gray. And I tried the brown over it and now it's just kind of patchy. So I'm doing a quick sand over it. And what I'm going to do, they're the same, it should work. I'm going to just pre-mix both the weathered gray and the dark walnut, and then I'm gonna apply it. So I mixed them, and she wanted more of a gray top, and this is much more consistent. Okay, now I have to get this tape off really fast. Yay, it did not take my paint off. However, I was out of gloves, and now I have to go wash my hands with mineral spirits. It is time to gray wash these chairs. This is going to be a lot. Doing all in here. All these little pieces. I'll see how I do. I'll start with the easy parts first. Like this. And as I'm doing them, I kind of see now, like, as I'm doing this one, well, this one's fine, except so if you want to gray wash or whitewash something, I have my 50/50. Just go over it with the paint. And then immediately wipe it off. Now I'm not applying too much pressure. I was not thrilled with just putting the mixed stain on here because it looked really, really dark. And the picture that she sent me was way more rustic. So then I figured, well, let me try doing a gray wash over it, but that was just too much and wasn't thrilled. So then I went through and wiped off the gray wash, and now I have where the gray is only in all of the grooves, and I like that a lot. Yay, I'm finally to the part where I can start putting the top coat on and finishing this up. So I am using the MinWax PolyAcrylic in a clear semi-gloss, and oops, I have my sponge for my top coat, and I have it poured on my plate. I'm just doing the top right now, and I'll come back and do the sides. Ooh. And that's what we kind of want to avoid doing, is splashing everything into here. So I'm getting better at using the sponge. I generally will use a brush. You probably see me doing that all the time, because my first experience, and I talked about it in my very first video on why I started all this in the first place. So my first experience was not fabulous with using this, and I had no idea, how to do a light coat, apparently. What I did find out is how to make a big mess. I am on coat number 4. That's 4. That's how many I wanted to make sure I got on here. And as you see, I have switched to the brush because I don't know what my problem is, but apparently I can't use the sponge because all I get is lots of bubbles. And then they dry, and then I have to sand them, and then I'm kind of undoing myself. So while I sanded, a light sanding, I don't want to sand off everything that I put on, and I don't know how to control the bubbles. So, if you know how to control the bubbles, let me know in the comments. So, the table's gone. We just delivered it. Alright, this was probably the most stressful of my furniture flips, and it's really easy when I take a piece of furniture and I do whatever I want with it, and then somebody looks at it and goes, hey, I like that, and they come and buy it. But when you take somebody else's furniture and you're going to change it and hope that it's something that's okay with them. Now, don't get me wrong. The woman I was doing it with, totally laid back. I think no matter what I did with it, she would have been perfectly fine with it. But I still want it to make sure that they like what they get and that I don't totally mess it up. So anyway, we delivered it. I am on to my next project. Thank you so much for watching this, and I hope that you had fun. I had fun doing it. It was the first time I've actually done one for someone else. If you had fun watching this, like, subscribe, and share. And here is what it looks like.